Do you ever feel like you're listening to a completely different language? You're at a party, a family dinner, maybe just scrolling through your phone, and the conversation hits you like a tidal wave. Bitcoin, blockchain, crypto. The words fly fast and furious, and everyone seems so confident. They're talking about halvings and nodes, ledgers and keys, and you're just nodding. A polite smile plastered on your face while your brain is screaming, "What on earth is going on?" It feels like you're on the outside looking in while the biggest financial and tech shift in a generation is happening on the inside. Like everyone else got a secret manual to this new world, and yours got lost in the mail. You hear whispers of fortunes being made, of the very idea of money being rewritten, and the feeling you get isn't excitement, it's anxiety, a quiet, nagging fear that you're being left behind. If that sounds like you, if you feel like you're the only person on the planet who doesn't get it, then just take a deep breath. This is for you. This is your secret decoder ring. Forget the jargon, forget the hype, forget the pressure to jump in. Today, we're going to do something much more important. We're going to understand it. Together, we're going to cut through all that noise and get down to the simple core truths. My only promise is this: by the end of this, you won't have to just nod and smile anymore. You'll be able to join the conversation, not with risky speculation, but with genuine confidence. This isn't about telling you what to do. It's about giving you the tools to finally understand what's being done. Before we can even touch what Bitcoin is, we have to understand why it was created. Bitcoin didn't just pop out of thin air. It was forged in the fire of a global meltdown. Let's rewind to 2008. The world was in the grips of a massive financial crisis. It felt like the ground was collapsing under our feet. To put it simply, the biggest banks, the pillars of our whole economic system, had been making incredibly risky bets on the housing market. They bundled up mortgages, including a ton of high-risk subprime loans given to people who were probably never going to be able to pay them back, into complicated financial products. For a while, it looked like genius. House prices went up, and the banks packaging and selling these things made obscene amounts of money. But it was a house of cards. When the housing bubble finally burst, those products turned toxic overnight. Their value vanished. The result was a catastrophe. Lehman Brothers, a historic 164-year-old investment bank, went bankrupt, sending shockwaves across the entire globe. Stock markets plummeted, wiping out trillions in wealth. Millions of people lost their jobs, their homes, their life savings. The feeling wasn't just panic, it was betrayal. And then something pivotal happened. To stop the whole system from collapsing, governments swooped in. They used taxpayer money to bail out the very institutions that caused the crisis. The message, whether intended or not, was loud and clear. The system will protect itself, even at the expense of ordinary citizens. The phrase "too big to fail" entered our vocabulary, and with it came a deep, lasting erosion of trust. This is the world Bitcoin was born into. The problem wasn't just about money, it was about trust. We trust banks to hold our money. We trust governments to manage the economy. The entire system is built on these trusted third parties. The 2008 crisis showed us just how fragile that trust is. What happens when the trusted become untrustworthy? When a bank can freeze your account, a government can print money and devalue your savings, or a payment company can block your transaction for reasons you don't understand. We saw that the system had central points of failure. And when they fail, the rest of us pay the price. It was in this exact climate, in a world reeling from broken trust, that an anonymous figure would propose a truly radical idea. On October 31st, 2008, just weeks after the implosion of Lehman Brothers, a mysterious person or group going by Satoshi Nakamoto published a 9-page document to a small group of cryptographers. The title was simple: Bitcoin, a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. This wasn't a hot stock tip. It was a technical blueprint, a proposal. It laid out a system for people to send money directly to one another online, with no bank, no credit card company, no middleman of any kind. It was a direct answer to the problem of trust. What if, Satoshi asked, we could build a financial system that didn't rely on trusting people, but instead relied purely on math and code? The name itself is our first clue: cryptocurrency. It sounds intense, but it's just two ideas smashed together. The first is currency, like dollars or yen, a system of money. The second and more important word is crypto, short for cryptography. Cryptography isn't new or scary. It's the ancient art of secure communication. It's about writing and solving codes. For thousands of years, people have used it to send messages that only the right person can read. Bitcoin is built on that same principle, using math to create security. So when you hear cryptocurrency, don't think of magic internet money. Think of it as a system of value that is secured by code. The Bitcoin white paper was revolutionary because it solved a problem that had stumped computer scientists for decades: the double spending problem. In the digital world, anything can be copied: a photo, a document, a song. If digital money was just a file, what's to stop you from copying it and spending it over and over, making yourself rich and destroying the currency's value? The traditional answer is a central authority like your bank. They keep a master ledger. When you send $20 to a friend, the bank subtracts it from your account and adds it to theirs. They are the single source of truth that prevents you from spending that same $20 again. Satoshi's genius was figuring out how to create a single source of truth without a central authority. A system where everyone could agree on who owns what without a bank telling them. The solution was a technology we now know as the blockchain, and that's the next piece of our decoder ring. This gets to the heart of what we're doing today. We're not looking at price charts. We're looking under the hood at the engine that makes the whole thing run, because to understand Bitcoin, you have to understand the technology. The technology is the innovation. The single most important word you need to know to understand Bitcoin is decentralization. It's a big word, but the idea is simple and incredibly powerful. It's the line between the world we know and the world Bitcoin proposes. Let's use an analogy. Imagine you and 9 friends go on a trip. To track expenses, your friend Alice volunteers to manage a spreadsheet on her laptop. Alice is the central authority. If you buy drinks, you text Alice. If someone else pays for a taxi, they text Alice. She's the keeper of the official record. This system is fragile. What if Alice's laptop gets stolen? The budget is gone. What if she accidentally types a wrong number? The record is wrong. What if she gets into a fight with your friend Bob and accidentally deletes a line where she owed him money? She can abuse her power. This is a centralized system. It has a single point of failure and relies entirely on trusting Alice. Now imagine a different way. Instead of one spreadsheet on Alice's laptop, what if there's a magical notebook? The second anyone writes a new expense in their copy, it instantly appears in everyone else's copy. And here's the magic. Once an entry is written, it can't be erased or changed. To add a new line, a majority of the group has to see it and agree that it's real. Now, nobody is in charge. There is no central point of failure. If Alice loses her notebook, who cares? 9 other copies exist. If she tries to add a fake entry saying Bob owes her $1 million, the rest of the group will look at their notebooks, see it's a lie, and reject it. The record is maintained not by one person, but by the consensus of the whole group. That is decentralization. Bitcoin works like that magical notebook. There's no Bitcoin headquarters, no CEO, no building where Bitcoin lives. The Bitcoin network is just thousands of computers run by volunteers all over the world. Each of these computers, called a node, keeps a full copy of every transaction that has ever happened. When you send Bitcoin, you're not sending it to a central server. You're broadcasting it to this global network. They all work together to check that your transaction is valid and add it to that shared record book. And this is a massive shift. Our current financial system is built around central hubs, central banks, commercial banks, payment networks like Visa. They control the flow of money. They can be censored, shut down, hacked, or make decisions that affect millions. A decentralized network has no center. To shut down Bitcoin, you'd have to shut down every single one of those thousands of computers all at once across the entire planet. It's a system built to be resilient and censorship resistant because there's no one to do the censoring. This idea is the foundation for everything else. It's why Bitcoin doesn't need a bank and it's what makes the blockchain so revolutionary. So, we know decentralization means everyone has a copy of the same record book. But what is that record book? That's the blockchain. The word sounds way more complex than it is. It's exactly what it says it is: a chain of blocks. Let's go back to our magical notebook. Instead of one long running list, we organize it by page. Each page holds 20 transactions. Once a page is full, we call it complete and start a new one. Each of these pages is a block. A block in Bitcoin is just that, a collection of new verified transactions. It's a list saying person A paid person B, person C paid person D, batched together. Now for the chain part. This is the secret to the whole system's security. It's not just a stack of loose pages. The pages are cryptographically sealed together. Think of it this way. When we finish page 1 of our notebook, we create a unique magical seal for it. This seal is a kind of digital fingerprint, technically called a hash. It's a short string of letters and numbers completely unique to the contents of that page. If you change so much as a comma on page 1, its digital fingerprint changes completely. Now, when we start page 2, the very first thing we do is write down the unique seal from page 1 at the top. Then we fill page 2 with new transactions. Once it's full, we create a new seal that is a fingerprint of everything on page 2, including the seal from page 1. On page 3, we stamp the seal of page 2 at the top, and on it goes. Each new block contains the unique digital fingerprint of the block that came before it. This creates an unbreakable chronological chain. You can't just slip a fake page in the middle, and you can't alter an old page without everyone knowing. This is why the blockchain is called an immutable ledger. Immutable is a fancy word for can't be changed. Let's see why. Imagine our friend Alice wants to go back and alter page 10 to erase a debt. The moment she changes that transaction, the contents of page 10 are different. That means the original seal, its digital fingerprint, is now broken. But it gets worse for her. Because the seal of page 10 was written on page 11 is now also broken. And because page 11's seal is on page 12, that page is broken too. It's a domino effect that cascades all the way to today. For Alice to cheat the system, she'd have to alter page 10, then redo all the work to create new valid seals for page 11, 12, 13, and every single page after it, all the way to the present. And she'd have to do it faster than the entire rest of the group, who are all working together to add the next honest page. It's practically impossible. This is the security of the blockchain. It's not protected by a vault. It's secured by math and transparency. Everyone in the network has a copy, and they can all see the digital seals on each block. An attempt to rewrite history would be instantly noticed and rejected by everyone. This elegant system is how thousands of strangers can trust a shared set of facts without having to trust each other. Okay, so we have this network of magical notebooks, the blockchain. We know the blocks are sealed together in a secure chain, but this leaves a giant question. In a system with no boss, who gets to add the next page? Who decides which transactions are valid and writes the next block? This is where miners come in. And no, they don't have pickaxes. In Bitcoin, miners are specialized computers, and mining is the process of competing to be the one to add the next block to the chain. This competition is what secures the entire network. It's called proof of work. It sounds technical, but the idea is simple. To earn the right to add the next block, you have to prove you've done a huge amount of computational work. Think of it as a massive global lottery that happens every 10 minutes. To play, computers all over the world start guessing the answer to an incredibly difficult math puzzle. There's no shortcut. The only way to solve it is to make trillions of guesses over and over as fast as you can. The computer that finds the winning number first wins the lottery. So what does the winner get? Two things. First, they get the right to add the next block. They gather up a list of recent transactions, put them in a block, and present their winning lottery number as proof that they did the work and won. Second, and this is the key incentive, the winner gets a reward. This reward is made up of brand new Bitcoin. This is how new coins are created, plus all the small transaction fees people included with their payments. After the halving in April 2024, The reward for mining a block is 3.125 Bitcoin. This reward gets cut in half roughly every 4 years in an event called the halving, making Bitcoin creation scarcer over time. The next one is estimated for early 2028. This whole system is genius. The work is literally the process of burning electricity and computing power to guess the puzzle's answer. By proving you've done this work, you show you have real skin in the game. It makes attacking the network ridiculously expensive. Imagine a bad guy wanted to take over the network to add fake transactions. Thanks to proof of work, they wouldn't just need to solve one puzzle. They would need more computing power than all other miners in the world combined to consistently win the lottery and build their fake chain faster than the real one. The cost of the hardware and electricity would be astronomical. You'd spend far more trying to attack the system than you could ever hope to steal. So, miners aren't just creating new coins. They are the decentralized guards of the network. They are the auditors. They compete to verify transactions, bundle them into blocks, and secure the blockchain. This process replaces a trusted bank with verifiable computational effort. Okay, we've been deep in the technical weeds. Decentralization, blockchains, mining. Now for the most important question, so what? Why go through all this trouble? How does this bizarre system of digital notebooks and global lotteries create something people find valuable? The answer is in the unique properties that come out of this technology. These properties are unlike anything in the traditional financial world. First, and maybe most important, is digital scarcity. In the real world, we get scarcity. Gold is valuable partly because it's hard to find. But in the digital world, everything is usually easy to copy. Bitcoin was the first time anyone created a digital thing that is verifiably scarce. The code itself dictates that there will only ever be 21 million Bitcoin. That's it, a hard cap. This number can never be changed unless the entire network agrees, which is virtually impossible. This is a huge contrast to traditional or fiat currencies like the US dollar. Central banks can and do print more money whenever they want. This can lead to inflation, meaning the money in your savings account buys less over time. Because Bitcoin's supply is fixed and predictable, many people see it as a form of digital gold, a potential protection against inflation, whose value can't be diluted by a central authority. Second is divisibility. You might hear about a single Bitcoin being worth tens of thousands of dollars, but you don't have to buy a whole one. A single Bitcoin can be divided into 100 million smaller units called Satoshis, or sats. This means you can own a tiny fraction of a Bitcoin, making it useful for transactions of any size, just like a dollar is divisible into cents. A third is portability and censorship resistance. Because Bitcoin is just information, you can send it anywhere in the world with an internet connection in minutes. No more waiting days for slow, expensive international bank wires. More importantly, you don't need anyone's permission. A bank can freeze your account. A government can stop you from moving money out of the country. A credit card company can decline your purchase. But Bitcoin transactions are processed by that decentralized network of miners. There's no central kill switch. For people living under oppressive regimes or in countries with unstable economies, this property can be a literal lifeline. These properties, scarcity, divisibility, and censorship-resistant portability, are direct results of the technology. They aren't just marketing buzzwords. Whether they make Bitcoin valuable is for the world to decide, but understanding them is the key to understanding why we're even having this conversation. Theory is great, but how does this all work in the real world? If you wanted to use Bitcoin, how would you actually do it? This is just to demystify the practical side, not to tell you what to do. The key is understanding keys, addresses, and wallets. First, you have public and private keys. This is how you prove you own your Bitcoin. Think of it like email. To get emails, you have an email address that you can give to anyone. This is like your public key. Or more precisely, you use your public key to generate addresses. If someone wants to send you Bitcoin, you give them a Bitcoin address. It's public and perfectly safe to share. Now, to get into your inbox and send emails, you need a password. This is your private key. Your private key is a long secret code that gives you the power to sign and approve transactions from your address. It's the mathematical proof that you and only you own the Bitcoin. This leads to the number one rule in all of crypto: never ever share your private key. Giving someone your private key is like handing them the master key to your bank vault. They will have total control to spend all your funds. So where do you keep these keys? That's what a wallet is for. A common mistake is thinking a wallet holds your Bitcoin. It doesn't. Your Bitcoin only ever exists on the blockchain, that global public ledger. A wallet is just a piece of software or hardware that manages your keys. It's an app that lets you check your balance and sign transactions. There are generally two types of wallets: hot wallets, software wallets. These are apps on your phone or computer. They're hot because they're connected to the internet. They're convenient, but also less secure, since anything online can be a target for hackers. Cold wallets, hardware wallets. These are small physical devices like a USB stick that keep your private keys completely offline. To make a transaction, you plug it in. The transaction is prepared on your computer, sent to the device to be signed internally, and then the signed transaction is sent back to the computer to be broadcast. Your private key never touches the internet. This makes them the gold standard for security. Finally, there's the seed phrase or recovery phrase. When you set up a new wallet, it will give you a list of 12 or 24 random words. This seed phrase is the master key. It's a human-readable backup of all your private keys. If you lose your phone or your hardware wallet breaks, you can install a new wallet, type in those words, and get all your funds back. This means your entire crypto security boils down to protecting those 12 or 24 words. The universal rule is to write them down on paper and store them somewhere safe and physical. Never save them as a text file in an email or as a photo on your phone. Anyone who finds your seed phrase has your private keys and can take your Bitcoin. In this world, you are your own bank, which gives you total control, but also total responsibility. No honest talk about Bitcoin is complete without facing the criticisms head on. Building real confidence means knowing the good stuff and understanding the legitimate concerns. First, the big one, the energy debate. You've probably heard Bitcoin uses a lot of electricity, and it's true. The proof of work mining process is energy hungry on purpose. The network's energy consumption is comparable to that of entire countries. This is a real issue. But the conversation is more nuanced. Miners are driven by profit, so they hunt for the cheapest power on the planet. This often leads them to stranded energy, like excess hydro or geothermal power in remote areas that can't be easily sold. And some miners even capture flare gas from oil fields, gas that would otherwise be wastefully burned into the atmosphere, and use it to power their mining rigs. While a growing portion of mining uses renewable sources, many operations still rely on fossil fuels. The energy cost is real. It's the price the network pays for its security, and the industry is actively working to improve its footprint. Second, the old myth, Bitcoin is only for criminals. This stereotype comes from Bitcoin's early days on darknet markets, but the reality today is very different. Remember, the blockchain is a permanent public ledger. While your real name isn't on it, every transaction is visible to the world. This makes Bitcoin a terrible tool for crime. Blockchain analysis firms have become incredibly good at tracing transactions and linking addresses to real people. Studies consistently show that the overwhelming majority of Bitcoin activity is not for illicit purposes, and that good old-fashioned cash is still the king of crime because it's truly anonymous. Finally, the philosophical question, Bitcoin isn't backed by anything, so it has no value. This is a common hang-up. It's true, Bitcoin isn't backed by gold, and it isn't backed by a government like the US dollar. But that forces us to ask, what does backed by even mean? The US dollar hasn't been backed by gold for decades. We all just agree it has value, and so it does. It's backed by trust and social consensus. Bitcoin's value, its supporters argue, comes from its unique properties, which are backed by pure mathematics and the energy securing the network. Its value is a product of its verifiable scarcity, its ability to be sent anywhere without permission, and its decentralized structure. It's a new type of asset born on the internet, and its value is simply determined by the supply and demand from the millions of people who choose to use it. It's not a scam, it's a technology, and like any technology, its worth is decided by how useful people find it. And there you have it. We started with that sinking feeling of being on the outside of a conversation. We traveled back to the 2008 crisis to find the why. We've decoded decentralization, the blockchain, miners, and proof of work. We've seen the unique properties this tech creates, like digital scarcity, demystified how it works in practice with keys and wallets, and tackled the hard questions head on. My goal was never to tell you that Bitcoin is good or bad. It was to give you that decoder ring I promised. It was to replace the confusion with clarity and the anxiety with confidence. The Bitcoin world is complex, and the conversation is often loud and extreme, but under all that noise is a fascinating technology that offers a new way of thinking about trust, money, and power. You now have a real foundation. You understand the language. You can see past the hype and grasp the core ideas. You are equipped to think critically for yourself, ask the right questions, and form your own opinion. The global conversation about the future of money is happening, with or without us. But now, you have a seat at the table. If this deep dive helped clear the fog for you, please consider giving this video a like and subscribing for more simple explanations of complex topics. The learning journey never stops, and we're just getting started. Thanks for watching.